But we were just talking about, let's say if someone comes up here to ask a question. Now, if you look at it, there's two objects, yeah? Seemingly, perceptually wise. And then there's two subjects. Yeah? But to one subject, they're more subject than the other subject. So then they're objectified. And then this is more subjecty than the other subject, so that gets objectified. So you start with the conversation of oneness based on two-ness, yeah? It's just like, you may be saying oneness, but the perceptual thing is seeing two, isn't it? One, someone who has it, someone who doesn't have it, in a lot of ways, yeah? Someone who wants it, someone who's past the point of wanting it, which is how you have it. So in a way, whatever you're saying may be overridden by the perception of the dynamic, yeah? Could be. You've got to see that the mind gets different messages than what's being said, yeah? It works more in images than anything. So a language, that's what poetry is about and stuff. A language that can evoke an image is like a high form of language, yeah? Because it produces an image. And like a lot of the great sayings in, if you want to call it spirituality or scriptures, are really based on the person who's reading them, yeah? So the person who's, there isn't a person, but the mind that's receiving them expands on that statements, like we said it Wednesday night. These statements like whatever can be perceived cannot be perceiving. Forget about the period. Don't stop there. Let it be an open-ended statement as it's received, yeah? So when you hear that, whatever can be perceived cannot be perceiving, period. Forget the period. It doesn't stop there. That's the beginning, because it's like the lure has been put in to the ocean of mind, and the mind has risen up to grasp the idea, and as soon as it rises up to grasp the idea, it gets the intimation of its oceanness, yeah? It's a that's why they've been bobbing on the spiritual surface for thousands of years of these things, because they always attract mind, yeah? Like, you can't use activity to produce stillness. That would be activity. No period, just, and then the mind rises up. What? Like a little dog head, what? And then suddenly there's an expansion in mind. It's not mind expanding. There's an expansion in mind. Yeah. So there's mind, this huge space, big M mind. Then suddenly you read something, or you see something, or something downloads, or someone says something, and then the mind explodes in a way. And when it explodes, the expanse, yeah, intimates the true expanse of mind, yeah? So you get an aha that resonates maybe for the next 30 fucking years in your life, or an unspoken yes that echoes from that point on. It's that kind of, like, it's almost like megatons of a nuclear explosion, like the bomb had like 60 megatons of nuclear oomph, whatever. Well, the mind is like, so you have these explosions of like, you can't use the mind, the big M mind, to seek the mind. You can't use Buddha to seek the Buddha. You can't use light to seek light. It's not like you can't use mind to seek mind, period. Okay, where's the stone tablet? Let's rip that in stone. Yeah, you can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha, exclamation point. No, it's like it's something, it's almost like a comet type of an idea, and you become the tail of it, the entertaining of it. The comet comes into your head, and then your interest or entertaining it gives it its tail, yeah? And after a while, it's not a comet with a tail, it's a giant space, almost like a huge ring around, yeah? That's entertaining. That's what mind is. Mind is not this, no matter how many athletic outfits you buy, no matter how many great running shoes you get, you're not a marathon runner in a closet. You're like a bareback rider. You know what I mean? There's no saddle. Just, if you let the mind go out, you know, it will go out. It's sort of like when you pop a balloon, the air doesn't stay in the balloon, does it? It goes back into its source. Yeah? It's ballooning isn't like it's not intentional, it's defined. There's like a membrane that seemingly separates the air in the balloon with the out. But every time that membrane gets popped by this, like an idea, like you are, the seeker is the sought, what's looking is what you're looking for. The air, when it gets popped, doesn't huddle in the balloon and try to stay as the balloon, does it? It's just, you know what I mean? It doesn't even move out because it's never been out. It was just a false membrane. It just becomes what it always has been. Yeah? It's just the way we perceived it. We thought it was in a balloon, but it's not. It was just the fake boundary gets popped or removed, and what's so? There never was a boundary. Just like if you take a wall out, if you took these things down, they have not taken up any space. You don't have to get a piece of space for them, 12 by 8 inches, and have them really right here. You can't see them, but I have them because I paid $300 for them, so I know they're real. I've got the receipt. All right, let's take these things out and put them, all right. Whew. The void, that would have been fucking scary. The void would have been revealed. No, we put the space in. This isn't that way, is it? When this leaves, there isn't like a little, like almost like a foot imprint on the sand of voidness, you know, when it's just sort of like, this is an appearance in space, yeah? There is no boundary. This isn't boundary. This is like the balloon membrane with the air, yeah? But we can hear a message while seemingly in the balloon about the air. And what does it do? It doesn't say, oh, save the air. Just be the air. It's, hey, I'm not the fucking balloon. That's it. The balloon pops and then what was always so becomes apparently so. Yeah? And when it becomes apparently so, part of it being apparently so is that it's always been so. There never was a membrane. There never was anything dividing me from that. There was never none of this. It's like a prefabricated, made up, seemingly so. Yeah? So these statements over time sort of pop the seeming balloon. So there was the air, yeah? Seemingly separated from, well, let's say space in the balloon, separated from space, but not truly, imaginarily, yeah? By what the space inside the balloon was entertaining. It became identified with the membrane and says, oh, I'm not air, I'm the balloon. And my job is to be used at birthday parties, parades, fucking, and then if I get to become the greatest of balloon, I'll be like a float at the Macy's parade, Thanksgiving, and I'll have a shape, and they'll call me Popeye, and I'll be fucking fulfilled finally. And all the other little balloons will know they're little compared to my hugeness. He senses the energy, bro. He's the new gatekeeper. Thank you. Take a security out with him. Out. So, yeah. So these little statements of the seeker is the sought. What a beautiful, what? Now, if you were driving and you had a lot of investment, you've just got a full tank of gas, and you were driving to that retreat, yeah? And you've been waiting to do this retreat for 4 months, and suddenly there was a spiritual public announcement on the radio, broke into your like regular station and says, the seeker is the sought, yeah? Now the air you would think would go, wow, I'm not the balloon, but now the air as the balloon has invested in the gas. He's got the books and the CDs of this guy or woman at the retreat. He's made a massage appointment during the retreat. He's ordered its own raw vegan diet. So it's sort of, in a sense, then when the balloon gets popped, it's not even popped, but we're using it as a picture, the air will be reluctant in a way to move out because it's become invested in the story of being the balloon, yeah? With the hopes that someone else, another balloon, will recognize it's got the longest string and it stays blown up longer than anyone else and whatever fucking hierarchy the balloon is living by. I'm not insinuating what you think I'm insinuating. You're a dirty mind. I see that. No, I like it. So there would be like the membrane. It can be shown not to be so, and still the air will want to be taken to be a form of the balloon. Yeah, that's called the cherishing of self. So it's not like we're being imprisoned or waylaid or it's imposing against our will here. We're happy accomplices. Like Wilhelm Reich said in an old book called The Murder of Christ, he would call this dis-ease or this malaise like the emotional plague of man. And everyone who seems to have it says they do anything to get rid of it or to leave it, but they really don't want to leave it. So they build institutions and a lot of other things within the trap of this emotional plague to point outside the trap, but none of them have any intention of taking anyone outside the trap because no one wants to go. They just don't, they feel guilty about not wanting to go. So they put on this giant masquerade. Oh, I would, if I didn't have these if I didn't have that deadline next week, I would definitely take a nice long breath and, but, you hear it all the time. People come to the meeting, oh, I feel so great here, but what about Tuesday? I don't know. What about fucking Tuesday? Is it happening right now? But it seems to be more important to them than what is happening right now. That's the air reluctantly staying within the balloon even after it's been popped. I mean, the marathon runner, the lock isn't outside, it's inside. He could open the door to the closet any fucking second. He maybe wants to have it open magically by someone else, who will appear in a dream. Who cares? But it's put off so long, but the fact is just open up. Why not? Well, it may not be a spiritual spectacle. It probably won't be. You'll probably just go fucking put the mayonnaise on your rye bread and make your, BLT, whatever. I don't know. And it's like the birds aren't going to stop chirping. Oh, the fox. Oh. I mean, it may go totally unnoticed. That's why it's so valuable. It goes totally underappreciated. We're underappreciating it mostly all day. Oh, how are we doing that? Well, entertaining yesterday and tomorrow. Obviously, we're not happy with here. Or some aspect of this event isn't happy with here, is it? It's using here to think about yesterday and tomorrow all day. I mean, do you have to play like 40 games of roulette with this to figure out its plan? Just see it. See the system. The system displaces seemingly you. It puts you, you'll be out of the balloon, not now, but next week, or when you fulfill that course, or when you reach a certain level of outness of a balloonness, and who has a balloon outer as the authority, whose whole job plan is to keep you within the balloon so that you keep going to their intensives. Subtly, no one may notice it, but you can see it that way, yes? If something is so immediate and direct, how can it be prolonged in time? Only by us. And that to me, that falls under the beautiful statement the Course in Miracles put out, which is you and I are the dreaming of this dream. And what's going to happen is we're going to dream ourselves out of this dream. So if the dreaming wants to dream itself out of the dream through the auspices of the dream, it will use time to dream itself out of the dream. But the freedom wasn't produced by time. It was expressed through time. Yeah? The freedom is already so, and the mind dreaming in time and differentiation in degrees will now express itself as if it's unfolding or fulfilling in time. But in fact, the oak was completely available in the seed. Yeah? It's totally past germination, past all foliage, past 2,000 years. It's still contained in the seed of mind, big M mind. So a lot of these people, I find, what they're trying to do, really, like the Course would say, if you're reading this book, it's probably going to be here for you to save time. Because that's one thing that we seem to be slogging through. It's like a current every day. And no matter how hard we work and plan and get all our little conditional blocks aligned, like, oh man, I have money in the bank and I'm cool. My emotions are fine. I don't have a girlfriend, so I can't get agitated or triggered, so whatever. I found somehow it works out. I hang out at junior high schools and watch girls leave or something. Somehow I get some kind of fucking weird fulfillment. Then I have this. Then I have my money. I mean, my emotional, my physical state. I'm working out. I got tons of doctors giving me shots morning, noon, and night. This is going to be great on this, yeah? Yes, we're here. We're here. Come. Yeah. One of my great devotees. Yes, they're jumping over the fence. Then you have your spiritual condition, which is only a mental condition being reviewed as if it's a spiritual condition by the mental condition. How could a mental state recognize being? It couldn't. The mental state claims everything and makes it into something. That's the only way the only way it recognizes anything is after it claims it and makes it into something. Yeah? All right, so you have all these blocks all in place. And hasn't this happened to you? 3 weeks I've been meditating 14 hours a day. I've lost 20 pounds on this lousy fucking liquid soup in Thailand. I've been ambulating around a very old pagoda, and it's all great. Wearing whites, and everyone's looking bright because they're fucking malnourished. They're looking very bright, and they're transcending, but they're not transcending in a very holistic manner. They're transcending because they're going to die of malnutrition. You know what I mean? But whatever. So, and then you have it all lined up. And you feel it. It finally comes. All the stars align at 9 o'clock a.m. But then the party is crashed by 9:01, 9:02, 9:03. Oh, something's really itching me. Right here. Fucking, my plantar fasciitis just starts kicking in. I see my girlfriend with the teacher. Suddenly, my serenity is lost, as if it was never there. Doesn't that indicate something? If our true condition is prior to conditioning, prior to all the other conditions, like Adida used to say, one of my favorite statements by him, which is, you can outshine your circumstances and situations. To me, that's the priorness. Yeah? What's prior can outshine whatever seemingly comes after. What comes after cannot eclipse the prior unless the priorness has forgotten its position and is now taking a position after. And that's what the identification with self is. We're displaced from the sense of priorness, from the timelessness, from the unconditional, and now we are made up of volatile conditions, which all have to be managed and directed by who knows who, the great King Me, that's been crowned by himself in his own little porno theater, and now let's line up all these things and we're going to stabilize them. We're going to stabilize them. Yeah, good luck. High tides become low tides at the ocean. Yeah. Winds become stronger, lesser. The sun moves in the sky. Clouds can come and stop the sun. So your warmth can be gone in a minute where you need a sweater, and then usually you haven't planned well enough ahead. You don't have a sweater, and once again, one of your conditions is agitated. And what are you doing? Scurrying around the mental state, trying to manage it back into some fucking sense of okayness. How's it working? I mean, I think people are really tired, not from their work, but from their prior work, which is the constant juggling and trying to line up very uncooperative, blocks. Yeah, they're volatile. They always move. You can't freeze them into a certain condition, yet that which is trying to freeze them is exactly what it's looking for. Yeah? What's looking is exactly what we're looking for. We just have given it the attributes of a mental body condition. We've laid upon it the weaknesses that we find exasperated as a body experience, and we believe we're that very fragile, very, very etheric, very, very needs total vigilance and protection. Be brazen about it, Like it says in that faith mind stanza, faith mind, trust mind. Not trust the mental state, which we call mind. That's untrustworthy. But trust mind. When an aha happens, rest. Yeah? You don't have, the light is going to beget more light. You don't have to go looking for more matches to keep it going. Let it do its thing. Yeah. People have an event, they plan to do another one in like 3 days. Why not just let it echo out a while? See? It's like the people that have been coming here for, I've come in here as long as anyone else has been coming here. And I'll tell you, there's value in constantly receiving nothing. It really becomes an incredible something. To me, it's the gift that keeps on giving. Yeah. I watch people come in here. I see people who are looking for spiritual spectacle. They leave in a month because they realize their little antennas pick up nothing. Oh, there's a hopes of something. No, nothing. 3 years later, nothing. 5 years, it's pretty obvious. Nothing. You know what I mean? Now they can just email me. Have you changed? No, nothing. Are you adding anything to it? No, nothing. What's the point of moving on from here? If your foot's arthritic, if it's misshaped, if it's bent, you'll be walking as if you're going to Omaha, but by the time you end up, you'll be in New Mexico. This isn't like the heist of all heists. It's like that heist when they first were doing the computers and guys jacked into the bank statements and they took like a quarter of a penny out of every transaction. When it was totaled up, it was huge, but when it was happening, no one noticed because it was such a tiny little bit. Yeah? This is sort of like your great spiritual depth. You may only show up as the tip of the iceberg, but you'll have a sense of what's under the surface, yeah? You'll have a deep sense of that. You'll have contentment and serenity and peace. You won't give a damn how great the iceberg up this little top looks at, because it's affected by sun and everything. It's what's below that's reliable. What's not seen, what's not mesmerizing, not a loving gaze does not show the depth of a person. They were probably born with those types of eyes. It's something in. It's something that's unnoticed. Unless it's been happening with you, then you'll notice in others, yeah? It's not profound, it's not usually that flamboyant or pronounced. It's just a quiet contentment. That's extremely reliable because it's always available at all times right where you are. There's a lot of activity here. This is what retreats should have. They should have bomb scares. Really. Just to shake someone out of those comatose pillow events. Come out, like mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, maybe has something happen, some vegan piece of something gets stuck in someone's throat. Some kind of, come out of something. That's the moment. That's the pause. The pause is not you working on the pause. The pause is you. You ever have a pause in one's life and it changes your whole life? That was you finally showing up in your own life. It was so there you couldn't recognize it because you think it's supposed to have a face. It doesn't have a face. It's a presence. And your life can change dramatically when it's the captain, when it's at the helm. Yeah. Then you feel like you're being led instead of leading. Yeah? You feel like you're being directed instead of directing. And I'll tell you, I don't know about you, but this apparatus is a utilitarian apparatus. It's of use. It becomes useful. It's put to service. It's like a fucking four-wheel truck, not a giant BMW limousine with mirrors inside so you can see yourself all day. Now, this is put to use. It's a utilitarian event. It's not meant to be worshipped. It's meant to worship. It's meant to be used to worship. Yeah? It's not meant to be totally idolatrated. It's meant to be honoring something else. You ever see people, when I used to see Sai Baba, he'd come to the crowds twice a day. So I was there a month, so I went to see him every day. And so he had a couple of walkways, and so if you knew, it was almost like a gamble, but I usually was pretty good at it. I'd get there early, sit right there, and he'd walk by. And the best part of when he walked by, when he was looking on the other side, and I could see all the faces, human faces, looking up at him with devotion, and that's when a human face is the most beautiful. Yeah? They were and it didn't have to be him. It could have been their own inner son. But that look is beyond any other fucking look, in my view. And it was just lovely to watch people. Who cares who he was? It's what was being teased out of them. Yeah? It's what's being teased out of us. That those qualities that don't seem to be honored that much here. To have it teased out of us, and however it happens, is a beautiful event. So. That's it, I think, yeah. But I guess so.
A singing bowl.
That's pretty cool. It was my God timer. All right, my son, knock it off. That's the main office. I got to take... Sorry. You're getting a little out there, Paul. No more mentioning Adida and Sai Baba in the same talk. Yeah.
In your opinion, that quality of devotion you were talking about, is that inherent too, or does that cultivate over time?
I think, well, for some people, it needs something outside of them to tease. I would say find it in yourself, and then it's available at all times, yeah? Yeah. Like with all the gurus, don't they always end up at the Satguru, which is the guru inside? Maybe you need some outside thing to tease it, but once you start recognizing it, then it's fun, but then it can be moved on from.
I heard recently, someone tried to tell me recently that the devotion is sort of like the grace that you get from outside, and it felt weird.
I don't think so. I think we have all There's millions and zillions of possibilities of expression here. And the way we're conditioned, certain things that we come up against in life will tease them out. Like for me, surfing teased out a joy like I used to have when I was 4 and 5 years old, like every time I was in the water. Other people, they have that spiritual, that love. Like we were just in the desert with that woman, Vimy. That Vimy had a lot of love that was teased out in her life, yeah? And so for me and Tommy to go there, we played a little role in teasing that love out again. And that's fine, yeah? You just hold the space and you let this stuff happen. It's beautiful. Because it's a beautiful quality in her own life that maybe she got disillusioned by these two swamis. She spent 27 years in ashrams. She got disillusioned by those two people that seemed to be how it was teased out maybe before, but that doesn't mean it's not there anymore, you know? And then hopefully you realize it doesn't even have to be teased out. Yeah? It will come out and find its own way of expressing. It will, because I can't go in the water anymore, so that has to find another way to come out, yeah? And it does. Have faith in mind, you know? Have faith in it. See what, you know, especially if it's demonstrated. If it's demonstrated, like for me in recovery, it was an obvious demonstration that something had happened that no human power could precipitate, which was me getting sober. What more did I need? Literally. I mean, I suffered, seemingly, the suffering of being an addict, especially an addict without money, is a fucking drag. I mean, it is really something else. And I was using against my will completely, you know, totally at the end. The idea of partying was totally lost years ago. It was an occupation. I had to get high. It was like a fucking forced slavery. And then no power. My mother's love, enemies, friends, the state, 2 years in Delancey Street, nothing could do it. Then suddenly, in a fucking trailer park in Calistoga, something did it. I would say nothing did it. And changed the trajectory of this action figure life. Like that. Next day, when I needed to be at an AA meeting for 20 fucking years, next day I found myself to my first AA meeting because a lady said I have to go to a meeting if I wanted a place to stay. Yeah? And after that first term, I haven't gone. On Monday, it'll be 28 years of sobriety. With no thought or effort of ever drinking and using again, ever. Not ever, any day did I ever have any urge to do any fucking thing with alcohol and drugs. None. And I couldn't combat that urge. I gave into it completely. That didn't fulfill it. There's no way. One of the worst times I ever had out there is I had $35,000 and I bought like a half a pound of Coke. And I made a seeming decision. I said to myself, because there was a choice, why don't you buy a house with this money? And I said, fuck that. I'm going to party. And either I die or the Coke runs out. And unfortunately, the Coke ran out. And then that bear had been eating the whole hibernating period. And when it came out springtime and there was no berries, it was fucking you. It was like a grizzly ma just kicking my ass. You know what I mean? There was nothing like having like an ounce of Coke and then having a quarter gram of like street Coke. Maybe you wasn't even that good, so you get one good shot out of it. One good shot. Oh, it was like hell. Hell, I tell you, hell. And to have that, and the day it changed, I wasn't hoping it would change. I swear to God, it was off the agenda. I thought I had tried everything, 2 years, 3 months in programs. I just said, fuck it. I give up. I'm going to just try to stay as high as I can until I get arrested again or put in an institution or die. I totally given up. I was just sitting there drinking a bottle and something intervened. Just came down and said, you're fucked. And then the whole thing set trains of circumstances off and I got to sobriety. What more do I need to see? What All the faith you have in your mental state with all of its master plans to be happy, joyous, and free, you're fucking here. Yeah. That's finally, it's working for you. This thing said, all right, what's the biggest freaking situation in this little action figure's life? Untreated alcoholism and addiction. All right, bammo. What's that huge urge that had like its teeth were sharpened every day, like sharks, they had 3 rows. This had about 8 rows of teeth. Yeah, that urge was just taken out like a psychic operation. No scar, nothing. A lot of scars from, but not. And that was it. What more do you need? Why do we need any anyway? Don't we have a life seemingly when we were kids? If it wasn't abusive, all the wonder and awe and your imagination, a lot of you was running wild then. What happened? What happened that, this is just how it has to be. We have to constrict you. Constrict you. Fuck, how's it worked? I remember I used to run into rooms just naked when I was a kid. I love to do it now, but people would be very upset. And if there was a mirror, I'd be upset. So, but I'd run around into rooms, and then around after 4 years old, everything I did ever since then was accompanied by thought. Every fucking thing was gone over by the tentacles of the mental state, trying to see how it could fucking convict me once again, or just do somehow. It was just unbelievable, really. Who wouldn't want to get as high as they could possibly get? And who wouldn't want that high as fast as possible? That's why shooting coke was the way for me. It took about a half a second to go into the brain and the heart. And you could die, and it didn't matter. You just wanted that rush. It was like, if I can't get out of here, I want to feel like I got out of here at least. Yeah? This is, the way you're out of here is realizing you've never actually truly been here. Then you can totally be here, and that's the way out of here. It's a weird little logic, but it works. When you're trying to get out of here, you're in as more as you can ever be. When you finally accept that you're in, and the only way it could happen to me is when I saw I wasn't this body. That's when the Urban Renewal Project was called off, yeah? When that was finally accepted, yeah, then I said, oh, fuck, I am totally here. Every fucking day I'm here. And I'm out now. Yeah, totally out of it by being totally in it. Amazing. The logic I had, that didn't how it worked. The logic has been bastardized. You believe there's something you're in that you want to get out of. That's the dilemma. The in that you think is so much needed to get out of is not in. It's not so. It's an imaginary place. And therefore, as long as you're trying to get out of an imaginary place, that's being in the place that you would really like to get out of. Yeah? You see it? You see the logic? Because if you can see the logic, then you'll recognize it. Because it has the same logic in all of its thinking. Its thinking is, you are really somewhere that really fucking sucks, and you need to get out of there. But it's the getting out of there that produces the state that you really seem to be in. It's not that which is being pointed at. It's the attempt and the drive to get out of that, which is the state you're in. I'm not talking about a jail in the real world. I'm talking about the jails in your own fucking world. Yeah? So, yeah.
Paul, do you want to take a question online?
What?
They want to ask you about OCD.
What's OCD?
Obsessive compulsive disorder.
We've just been talking about it the whole time. There's different degrees of it, so maybe they've noticed one degree and call it a disease, but it's another degree noting it that it's a disease if it gets to that degree. Isn't it? Isn't it like the kettle calling the pot black or something? There's an obsessive, disruptive, whatever, disorder in place that's now named what it is to imply that it's not. If the shoe fits, wear it. To me, the mental state is constantly obsessively what?
Obsessive compulsive disorder.
It's constantly obsessive and compulsive, because to make something seem to be so that isn't is a very anxious event. Yeah? You got to keep blowing into the plastic doll with a lot of holes in it. The air keeps escaping because our nature is simpatico with this. It's not simpatico with this little preformed balloon state. So that state, for it to maintain itself, has to be obsessively compulsive about keeping order in disorder. In other words, the disorder is that the cart is put in front of the horse instead of the horse in front of the cart. The balloon doesn't have air in it. There's an appearance of a balloon skin in air. Yeah? The body doesn't have mind in it. The body appears in mind. When you realize you're not the body, the grand reunion you were hoping to be invited to has already been completed forever. There's no reunion. There's only been the space of mind. We would hope that, I'm the prodigal son wasn't a prodigal son in the father's point of view. It was only in the prodigal son's point of view. Seriously, the father had never entertained him as a prodigal son any second of any moment. It was the prodigal son that was prodigal sonning in an obsessive, compulsive disorder, which allowed him to find himself in a fucking pigsty, groveling with the other pigs to get some corn off a dead cob. So a lot of diseases are like the tip of an iceberg. The rest of the iceberg is made of the same water. We just call this person has obsessive compulsive, but the person who's probably going over them is obsessive and compulsive. Yes? So I hope that helps, whatever. I hope it doesn't help. Now this is going to be a fucking floodgate now, yes.
Someone wants to know, where did you get your jeans?
Marshalls. Clearance, $15. Yee-hee! What fun is it to buy a $180 pair of pants for $180? I want to get them for $20, $15. Makes me feel better. It's like hunting and gathering when it comes to clothes. I don't want someone to deliver my clothes. I want to hunt and gather. Get the cheapest deal. I got plenty of time on my hands. What am I going to do? Sit quietly all day? It could end up that way, but right now, no. You're quiet already. We're all quiet while all that was going on. It didn't disrupt any quietness, did it? It was within the quietness. What is when a sound, this giant cacophony, when it ends, what does it go back to? Exactly what was always there. Yeah? The silence always outlasts all the fucking noises of everything. Yeah? We outlast everything that keeps appearing and coming and going in front, seemingly on our screen. We're looking from the screen. We're thinking we're looking back at the screen from the movie. That's the identification. We are the screen. Yeah? Without this movie wouldn't be happening without us as a screen. There's no fucking way. For something to appear, it has to appear in something. Yeah? What's that which everything appears in? Is it appearing? You could say it's appearing as what's appearing, but it's not making its own personal appearance. It's masquerading as everything else, yeah? But isn't that it? Isn't that us? It's like we recognize what's coming and going, but we don't recognize what's always here. We don't. We would recognize this if we saw it coming. We'd probably call it Jesus or Buddha or something. But we don't recognize it because it's always available at all times. It's just a perceptual glitch. It's built in. We're not meant to notice it. Yes, I like this guard dog. Yeah, someone else. Yes. He went into the bathroom instead. Huh? The dog? All right, well, that's it, eh?